was a history that basketball fans in Detroit were not looking forward to experiencing Tuesday night, but the Pistons couldn't redirect course, dropping their 27th straight game with a 118-112 loss to the Brooklyn Nets. And here's head coach Monty Williams after the game.
You have to be real about where we are. Nobody wants something like this attached to them. The bottom line is it's my job. It's my responsibility. You know, basketball is what we do. You take pride in it because you want to win, and we just haven't done that. And again, that's on me.
It weighs on us every day. I mean, everywhere it weighs on us.
All right, well, the Pistons' losing streak is now the longest single-season losing streak in NBA history and the second longest losing streak in not just NBA history, but also in the NFL, NHL, and MLB. Historically speaking, now the trailing the 76ers, of course, who lost 28 consecutive games spanning the 2014 and 2015 seasons. So we got to talk about this. Let's bring in Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windhorst. All right, Perk, should the Pistons be this bad?
No, they shouldn't. I mean, they're an NBA team losing 27 in a row. Well, make it 28 in a row because they're going to lose tomorrow night to the Boston Celtics. I have a better chance of having breakfast in the morning with Beyonce and Oprah than they do of beating the Celtics tomorrow. So we might as well say that's 28 in a row. That's number one. Number two, they shouldn't be this bad, right? And when you think about it, they have a lot of young, good players, elite talent. That has a very promising future. When you look at Cade Cunningham, when you look at Ivy, Asua Thompson is going to be nice in the future. You know, Marvin Bagley III, he could bump and grind a little bit and play in that paint. So when I think about the Pistons and where they are right now, it's just tough. I wanted to come on here, right, and I wanted to be like Mad Dog, and I wanted to go on this rant about how they should fire Monty Williams, how he should be out the window, change the scenery, but that's not going to happen. They just paid him $78 million this past offseason. And look, Mad Dog, I see you looking at me crazy. Either you can't see or you disagreeing with what I'm saying, but either way, it's cool. Here's the problem here's another thing. I was on the ball club that lost 18 games in a row before I won the NBA championship. I was on the team where the fans were yelling, fire Doc Rivers. Well, we had the youngest team in the league, right? And we just couldn't get it together. They're facing a lot right now. It's still no excuse whatsoever, but you have to remember this. Every team that they're facing is trying not to be that team that they're able to break their losing streak against.
Perk, the news is worse than that because their next two games are against the Celtics. It's a baseball series in Boston. Look out for that one. I want to take you guys back to last February, right before the All-Star break. The Pistons beat the San Antonio Spurs in a double overtime game. Very forgettable. Both teams were tanking. I doubt the players even remember the game. Since that game, mid-February 2023, the Pistons are 4-51. 4-51. We can look at this losing streak and say, oh my God, it's only part of the story. 4-51. Now, I'm a Browns fan. The worst part about going 0-16 was that it came after a season when they went 1-15. Okay? So you look at this. Now, last year you can say, well, they were tanking. They were tanking at the end of the season for Wembanyama, and I guess that's true. By the way, the tank was an absolute disaster. They had the number one chance to win the lottery. They had the worst record by 5 games, and they got the 5th seed. They got the absolute worst outcome in the lottery that could possibly happen. Was a disaster. But the thing that makes this start so shocking and so really unexplainable is that they're not tanking anymore. When they went into the offseason, they traded for veteran players. Now, those guys aren't contributing. Joe Harris and Monty Morris, they're not contributing. As you said, Perk, they paid Monty Williams almost $80 million, the biggest contract in the history of the NBA for a coach at that time. They didn't go into this season tanking. This is supposed to be the improved Detroit Pistons that have lost 27 in a row. Now, you may say, well, how did it possibly get here? Over the last 4 years, as they've been doing a rebuild, their GM, Troy Weaver, who I know you know well, Perk, from your time in Oklahoma City, he drafted a bunch and acquired a bunch of point guards and centers. That's not the worst idea in the world. There's a whole bunch of championship teams over the decades, as Mad Dog will tell you, that were built around point guards or centers. The thing about it is none of them can shoot. None of them. Well at all. He's only really drafted one player who's a marginal shooter, and that's Sadiq Bey. And he traded him last year for another center in James Wiseman. So you look at the Pistons, and every single night in the year 2023, now 2024, they are destroyed at the three-point line. They are the worst three-point shooting team by number of makes, the worst by number of attempts, and they are second worst in percentage. They get obliterated every night at the three-point line. They're also one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. They get obliterated every night on the boards, just about. I think they've lost the rebounding advantage like 9 of the last 10 or something like that. So this is just basic basketball, guys. You come into a game, and the other team outshoots you from 3 every night, and you get out-rebounded every night. You don't have a chance. You look at player by player, and you can break it down. But that is the bottom line. And I have no idea where they're going to go now, because they really can't even explain why they're as bad as they are.
100%. You guys are right on top of it. Perk, I'm not going to rant because you were right on it and gave good stuff, good analysis. Brian, I don't like the 28, by the way, because that's over 2 seasons. So I don't look at the Sixers. To me, streaks are 1 year. Batting streaks, winning streaks, losing streaks. It's a 1-season thing. So I don't even pay attention to the 28. And they're going to break that anyway because, as you guys said, they're going to lose to the Celtics the next 2 games. They only got one big player. Cunningham's a good player. And he didn't play at all. He got hurt. He's a good player. He scored 41 last night. He's a good NBA player. But Perk, what you said is 100%. They are now in a very rare situation because of the losing streak. They're getting everybody's best effort. Even the Celtics are not going to want to lose to them tomorrow night. And they're coming off a big road trip where they killed the Lakers and Clippers. They killed Sacramento and lost a close game to Golden State. They're coming home. And that first game off a trip is tricky. And even they're going to want to beat Detroit. Thinking good things in Detroit. A team that won back-to-back titles with Chuck and that great Pistons team in the 90s. And now they've lost all these games in a row. And you guys are right. They're going to lose 3 or 4 more before they finally win a ball game.
Now, real quick.
But see,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go, Perk. No, you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Victoria.
Well, I just want to follow up with you, Mad Dog, real quick. Who do you think should have more wins, or will get more wins, Lions or the Pistons?
Yeah, Lions have 11. They'll probably get to 12.
Yeah.
So that means the NBA record is Philadelphia, who won 9 games. You know, that team back in the early 70s before they got Julius and McGinnis and they became a really, they won some championships. They're going to win more than 9 games. Mm-hmm. I would think. Perk, I'll let you answer it. They should win more than 11. I'd say they win 15 games. They should win more than the Lions will win this year in the NFL.
No, they won't. They will not. The Lions will have more wins. You know what's crazy? I believe this time next year we'll be having a different conversation about the Detroit Pistons. These young guys are going to learn so much from this situation. But I will say this. Monty Williams, they did pay you $78 million, close to $80 million to coach, one of the highest paid coaches in the league. You got to adjust. We done seen Greg Popovich adjust. We done seen so many coaches, Rick Carlisle adjust. You have to adjust. You have to go into this locker room and speak these young guys' language. You got to make them convinced. You got to convince them to buy into your system. Wendy, you talked about the rebound, and that's effort. So if you're not getting effort, what are you really speaking in that locker room? You got to get it together.
Yeah, you got to get it together because, look, their last win was
They'll get more than 12 wins, Victoria, but it may not be until April. It may come right down to it.
Oh, boy, that's going to be rough because their last win was their home opener.